What's up, everybody? This is in response to the Instagram post about 10 questions that I will answer. I had some really good questions, so I tried to narrow it down to 10, but only got down to 11. There were some good ones, so I decided to answer them all. I'll try to keep this video short, maybe under 10 minutes. We'll see. This is the first time I've done a Q&A in a while, so we'll see how rusty I am. Anyways, first question from mcordes52. What advice would you give anyone making the switch from competing raw to competing equipped? So the first one is to get yourself a set of gear that's not super tight and that's not a new generation type material. So you want something that's you can get into by yourself. You can get the straps up, you can get the shirt on, sleeves on by yourself, and you don't want it to be a super rigid material. So on the gear side, I would just go with a Titan Superior suit. You can get that both, and you can use that both for squatting and deadlifting. Just use the measurements on their site. A custom suit isn't necessary at this point. You can just get a stock suit based on their site and the measurements that they tell you. And a shirt, just a regular katana is fine for that. Nothing ultra aggressive, no low scoop. And getting into it and practicing, it's going to be really hard. For sure, the hardest thing is to mentally take a break and understand that you're not going to jump into gear and start throwing up crazy PRs, crazy numbers right away. You're not going to start squatting 100 pounds more and benching 100 pounds more. It's going to take years and years to get there. So just going into it with the understanding it's going to take a long time to get there, to get comfortable with it. But the best way is to start off with baby steps. Everyone wants to jump in and get the tightest, most aggressive gear right away, and it's just going to hurt you in the long run. So learn to use some looser suits, looser gear first before you get into crazy tighter stuff. Use it in training. Initially, just use it to augment your raw training, more as some overload stuff to get used to how the suit feels and the shirt feels. And once you get comfortable with a looser, softer material, then you can start to step up to more aggressive, tighter materials. Next question, Dareflection of Perfection. Do you think equipped lifting is safer than raw lifting? This is a very double-sided or double-edged sword there. My personal preference or opinion is that equipped lifting is safer than raw lifting, and that comes from my personal anecdotal experience. And it's a very firm yes for me. There's obviously two sides. With the equipment, you're going to be handling more weight than you would raw, so the gear doesn't make your joints and tendons and ligaments any safer to sustain load, but it does support your joints in a way that can make it safer. And for me, ultimately, my transition to doing more full-time equipped lifting came from tearing both hip labrums from doing raw squats. Actually, I tore my left hip labrum at the Raw Worlds in 2012, and the next raw meet that I tried to do, Raw Nationals 2013, I tore my other hip labrum. When my hip labrums were torn, being in the suit was the only thing that allowed me to squat pain-free. So obviously you're handling more weight, but the gear has supported my hips in a way that allows me to squat pain-free. So for me, my personal experience is that equipped lifting is safer. Third question, Smelio Tavis. How long did it take you to go from being a pretty good lifter to one of the best, and what made the difference? There's honestly not a sexy answer to this. There's not some magic exercise I threw in. There's no magic programming that I started doing. No magic sets and reps schemes, no magic supplements. The only thing that makes you go from being pretty good to being the best of the best is time, dedication, effort, consistency. That's really simple. That's the only way. I guess the question is how long it took me. I was always a pretty good lifter, but I was never the best of the best. I wasn't breaking world records as a younger lifter. I was strong, but I wasn't out of this world special. I would say around, I got done playing college football in 2011, and I would say probably 2012 I kind of established myself as one of the best raw lifters, and 2015 one of the best equipped lifters. Next question, question 4, comes from nbray5. If you could go back in time, what is one piece of advice the older, wiser vanilla gorilla would give the younger, inexperienced vanilla gorilla? I wrote a whole section on this in my book, Guerrilla Warfare. Go check it out, Juggernaut store. I would for sure say the overriding thing that I would have changed was learning proper technique and adhering to it and practicing it earlier on in my lifting career. I kind of grew up learning to lift in the high school, college football weight room where squats are high, knees are caving in, squats are ugly, benches are bounced. We never deadlifted. Power cleans were a sloppy form. You look at Europe, and their powerlifters come from Olympic lifting backgrounds where a lot of them started, so they learned to squat to full depth properly from a young age. So it's a lot harder to go from doing half squats to having to do a full depth powerlifting squat than it is to go from learning deep squats to doing more of a powerlifting style. So it's hard, especially when everyone else around you your age is doing high squats and bouncing benches and you want to keep up with them. But the right thing to do is to learn the proper technique and practice it and adhere to it. Question 5, Beef_Titan. How do you prioritize weakness training? I could improve in multiple fields, but it's hard to attack all of them at once. Good question. It's all about how you prioritize your lifts. So in my training, I have 3 priority lifts. I have a priority 1, a priority 2, and priority 3. All of my priority 1 lifts are my competition-specific movements, so that's my equipped squat, bench, and deadlift. My priority 2 movements are my raw lifts, so raw squat, bench, and deadlift. And my priority 3 movements are anything that is going to help bring up any of those previous 6 lifts. So you prioritize weakness training by, if you're a raw lifter, which I'm guessing you are, your priority 1 lifts would be raw squat, bench, and deadlift. And then you would prioritize by figuring out in each of those lifts, where's your weak spot? Is it at the top, the middle, the bottom? And selecting assistance exercises based on that, and to move those up in priority. So after you hit your benches, then if you're weak halfway up, then maybe you do pin presses at your weak point, or pause bench presses at your weak point. But that's how I prioritize my weakness training. Next question, number 6, TM Hamilton 5541. Any advice for learning to squat in a Titan single ply suit? Seating, getting in the suit, hitting depth, break-in process. This question deserves a whole video of its own, and one of these days I've been asked to by a bunch of you guys to make a how to use the gear video, so that's coming someday when I get around to it. But it's too hard to answer in a short Q&A video, but making sure you get the legs and the crotch of the suit pulled up high enough so that you can hit depth, that it's not caving your knees in, and making sure the straps aren't too tight that you can't get depth without sacrificing form. But more to that in the future. Next question, number 7, Jeremy T_Nicholson. How do you adjust programming for someone who has a very labor-intensive job? That's a tough one. Obviously, it's completely not ideal to have a labor-intensive job and to be trying to be a competitive powerlifter at the same time. But there are ways around it. You can look at it at the bright side that you're increasing your GPP compared to vast majority of powerlifters, and I for sure say to keep a positive attitude, that don't go into your labor-intensive job thinking that, oh, this is killing my training. Go into it thinking that it's a complement to your training, that it's helping your training. So with that being said, you can't push it in the gym as hard as you could someone who works a desk job. So you would need to focus on your higher priority lifts. So if the normal person is going in there and hitting heavy squats and then 3 or 4 additional exercises and hitting them hard, you're not going to be able to do that and keep up with that, sleep, recover. So you need to take your priority lifts, which I would assume are your raw squat, raw bench, raw deadlift probably, and those are the ones you need to focus on. So instead of doing 3 or 4 exercises afterwards, hit your priority 1 lift even harder and focus on that. You're not going to lose strength. You can still get a hell of a lot stronger, just really focusing on your competition lifts. Hit lots of volume, hit your heavy reps, just focus on your competition lifts. Question 8, Ross Manarays. Sorry if I got that wrong. Why do you train all 3 lifts in each workout rather than training each lift separately on their own day? Good question, especially in the United States, if that's where you're from. The conventional way to train here is you have a squat day, a bench day, a deadlift day, a pump day. It's not too common. It's getting more common, but it's not too common to hit more than 1 or 2 competition lifts in a day. To me, I do it because it makes it so simple. It makes my training super, super simple. I train 4 days a week. Every day I go in, I'm hitting a squat, a bench, and a deadlift. And it really gets your mind and your body into that motor pattern of that's what you do. That's what you do as an athlete, as a power lifter. You're trying to be the best at squatting, benching, and deadlifting. So it gives you that much more practice at doing the competition lifts. You don't see anybody else in any other world-class strength sport doing things as unfrequently as most powerlifters in the United States do. You don't see Olympic lifters clean and jerking once a week. They're doing variations many times a week. Football players are practicing hitting drills multiple times a week. Baseball players are hitting thousands of balls a week, a month, I don't know. But the frequency is super important to getting better at the lifts. And again, you see a lot of people who will hit big PRs in training on their lifts, and they go to a meet and they don't even get close to touching what they did in training. So one of the reasons of that is you get used to squatting heavy when you're fresh, benching heavy when you're fresh, deadlifting heavy when you're fresh. Training like I do, squat, bench, deadlift every day, it gets you in the mindset of that's what you do. I go into the gym, I get under the weights, I squat, bench, and deadlift every day. So you go to a meet and you don't have a drop off from your training. See, next question, number 9, strength_conditioning_coach. What is your best accessory exercise for your main 3 lifts raw? That too is a extra long question that probably deserves a video of its own, because they're all 3 are going to be different. When I program for people, I break each lift down, squat, bench, and deadlift, into their weak points, and then I try to simplify that further by saying top third, middle third, or bottom third. So on each of those lifts, they pick where they're weakest: top third, middle third, bottom third. And then accessory exercises are picked off of that. My training history, my best accessory movement for my squat has been good mornings. My best accessory for my raw bench has been pin bench presses. And my best deadlift accessory, I would say recently I found this out to probably be Romanian deadlifts. Question 10, Kratos Spartans. What is the importance of bodybuilding training and powerlifting when your goal is just to be as strong and competitive as possible? And how to organize it, progress on it, drop sets, etc. Just energy wasted, or could that be useful on the big 3? Again, that's a really good question. Probably deserves a video of its own. It depends on a lot of things. The most important thing is somebody's training age, training years. If you've been training for powerlifting for a long time, the muscles isolation, specific movements of bodybuilding aren't going to help you nearly as much improve your overall strength as someone who's getting started in strength training for the first time. So you could take someone who's never squatted before and have them do Zumba and yoga and body weight squats, and their squat is going to go up. You could take someone who has done powerlifting for 15 years, and the only thing that's going to get them stronger is highly specific squat movements. So every powerlifter has a closet bodybuilder inside of them. I don't think hammering your biceps and triceps will hamper your training at all. But again, it all comes down to priorities. Your body can only recover from a certain amount. Your body can only handle a certain amount of volume, total volume on your entire body. So if you're crushing your shoulders and your biceps and your triceps and your abs, if you're doing bodybuilding things for that, it's going to take a toll on what you could have done otherwise. If your main goal is to be as strong as possible in the power lifts, the bodybuilding type stuff is not going to have a big carryover for you. But with that being said, I myself and the people I program for have a day in there where it's a wild card pump day, whatever they want to go in, and if they're feeling recovered, go and do whatever you feel like doing. Question 11, last one. Beowulf63, in your own words, what does it take, like, to be great? I mean, being an up-and-coming powerlifter myself, I would really like your honest opinion on how to be great. I think I touched on this earlier, but again, there's no sexy answer. There's no secret program, no secret exercise, no secrets. The only thing that it takes to be great is time, consistency, motivation. I'd say that last one, motivation, is the biggest one. The dude with the best genetics isn't going to be the best. The dude with the best program, the best coach, the best gym equipment, he's not going to be the best. The guy who's motivated the most for the longest period of time is going to be the best. And that I promise you, and I stand by. So there's no shortcuts. It's a long, long road to be a great lifter. Training smart, training hard, never skipping gyms. You have to let it consume your life, because the people that are going to be great are letting it consume their life. So if you treat it as a hobby, then that's all it'll ever be. You're not going to be one of the best in the world if you've only been lifting for 3, 4 years, 5 years. It's going to take years and years and years of under the bar, getting hurt, figuring out how to get healthy, figuring out how to work around it to become one of the best. So that's all the questions that I picked. So thanks a lot, guys, for asking them. I may try and do more of these in the future. So Vanilla Gorilla, peace and out.